All right, so welcome to our fifth episode of TP 360 Picks of the Week. Today we're focusing a bit more on dress watches, but we have a really nice collection. A couple of these are really special watches as always, but let's get started. So I'm going to start with the Primero, very simply because it is called the Primero, and the Primero in Spanish means first. Now, the Zenith Primero movement is an iconic movement, right? And we obviously know all the craze around the Zenith Primero movement that went into the Rolex. But when you have a chance to buy something like this, it's fantastic because you get it at a fraction of the cost. This is open heart, so you can see the finishing. This is the two-tone one. It's called El Primero because in 1969 they were the first, well, it was a race, but they wanted to be the first movement that starts or issues automatic chronographs. So until 1969, all the chronographs were winding chronographs. But any Primero watch you can get your hands on, especially the new Defy ones, are always fantastic. This is a great example at a fraction of the price. Two-tone, you can see the movement, you can see the finishing. Let me show it to you on my wrist. So this is El Primero. This is a normal one. You have the new ones, which are Defy, which tend to be a bit bulkier, a bit bigger. Then you have the Defy 21. Some of the great things about Primero is the 36,000 beats per BPH, basically, which is a much faster beating movement, and that's why you get the seconds going in much faster. So that's one iconic watch. Another iconic watch, even though it's not a dress watch, but when you couple it with a leather strap, it becomes really, really neat, is the Heuer or the Tag Heuer Monaco. Now, one cool thing about this specific watch is if you see on the dial, it actually says Heuer. This is the reissue of the Monaco that they did in the 1990s. I actually own one of these. These are limited, it's a limited edition reissue. But one of the things I really like about this specific piece is how clean the dial is. And obviously, as you know, the Monaco has a lot of history with Steve McQueen wearing them. Heuer is one of the biggest sponsors of many of the races. So when you talk about watches and cars specifically, and if you're a petrol head, the Monacos and the Carreras are perfect. I don't know if you can see my wrist, but it's a really, really great choice. And it's, again, the iconic shape, the square, one of the very few watches that do that. Another watch I want to speak about, again, it's a sports watch, but with a leather strap, coupled with a leather strap. And if you have a bigger wrist, then this could be worn as, I wouldn't say a dress watch, but under the suit, or it would fit under the cuff, is the Panerai. But this is not just any Panerai, this is a Panerai with a flyback function. So we all know Panerais are iconic diver watches, but what Panerai started doing in the late 90s is they started getting into the boats, the races, and because of this, they started developing some really nice chronograph functions. So you have the regatta, you have the flyback, you even have split chronographs. Now, this is a really nice example of a very simple Luminor with flyback function. Now, if you look at it, what you need to do is if you press this button, it starts moving. I don't know if you can see the blue hands moving. And the nice thing about flyback is as you press the button below, it just resets and starts again without having to press 3 times. So you can see it starts again, and it allows you to time multiple things. We spoke about flyback last week with the Mont Blanc, but that's another good example. My transition from semi-sports into dress is going to be as well a sports dress watch, obviously the Day-Date. This is the 36mm Day-Date, and that's an older model, and as you can see from the bracelet, it's got a bit of play. But this is very, very iconic. This is what they call the President's Strap. This is a very nice example with white gold on champagne or on gold dial, so not much contrast. But even though it's 36, you can see how nicely it fits on the wrist. This is definitely an icon, and we all know, the newer platinum Day-Date, especially with the baby blue dials, how hyped they are. For me, this is a quintessential Rolex, especially with, again, the President bracelet and everything that this watch represents. So our next piece, moving from the Day-Date, is another Rolex. But that's not the kind of Rolex you think about when you say Rolex. It's the underdog, it's the underrated dress piece, but it's just a fantastic piece. I love Cellini's, and I think, they're just so much under the radar. They should be, if you're considering a dress watch, there's absolutely no reason why a Cellini should not be in the mix. But the Cellini we have today is very, very special. So this is the rose gold with chocolate, with a chocolate dial. This is the dual time, so the sub-dial is the second time zone with a moon phase. So it's not just a dress watch, it's a complicated dress watch. You can see as well that the dial has a lot of very nice finishing in play. But then when you turn this around, that's, you know, there's a big surprise, as you can see, what they call the khanjar or the khanjar in Arabic, which is basically the Omani crest. And generally these are either bought by the royal family of Oman or given to people who have served. But this is a very, very beautiful example. We obviously know that in auction, vintage with the khanjar on the dial have fetched so much money, but that's just an example of a beautiful dress watch. This is a steal. I mean, if I were you and I wanted a watch like this, I'd really jump on a piece like this. This is a future collectible, not just because of the khanjar, but very nice finishing, very nice color combination. Let's see how it would fit. And if you look at the wrist, it looks like anything but a Rolex, but at the same time, it's iconic. It's a high-end dress watch. Again, Cellinis are just fantastic dress watches. Now, people who know me or who have interacted with me, they know that JLC is one of my favorite watchmakers or maison or houses. And in fact, people refer to JLC as La Grande Maison. Historically, JLC have done movements and have given movements to Patek Philippe's or the Piguet's. They're very well known for the thin movements that they've given. They're very well known for their finishing in high end. So a couple of really nice watches. We'll start with this one. This is a Master Control white gold, triple date. So you can see you've got a day, a date, you've got the moon phase. It's a fantastic little piece. The size is a bit on the smaller side, but you can see that the thickness is great. So this is the case back. You can see this is a solid case back, but then you open it and you see the wonderful movement. You can see the finishing is fantastic. This is obviously a hand wound movement, but that just makes it super, super cool. This is an extra option. This is a white gold watch. And again, even though it's a bit on the smaller size, I think this is a 39. You can see how it fits on the wrist. So this is a great little piece if you're looking for a dress watch. It's either this, or you can think of the higher end brands. But again, this is so much value, especially in the pre-owned market. The last piece is one of my favorite on the table today. It's a great piece. It's pretty complicated. It's a perpetual calendar. It's an 8-day power reserve. As you can see, there's no rotor, so that means that you're going to have to wound it to get the 8 days power reserve. Again, another JLC. Look at, you know, the work on the movement, the perlage, the finishing. Again, it's just, you know, what Jaeger-LeCoultre does in their watches is just absolutely fantastic. You can see how it fits on the wrist. Beautiful fit and finish. It really snugs. I love the way the lugs, you know, go down to hug the wrist. So again, a fantastic little piece. So, you know, while everybody seems to be very focused on the sport watch category, there is so much value in the dress watch. And a lot of these, while there are dress watches, can be worn on a daily basis, can be enjoyed on a daily basis. I mean, even if you look at something like this, you know, triple date. Dress watch, yes. Daily wearer, definitely. You look at something like the day date, you know, the iconic president's watch. Again, a lot of people buy these and end up putting a leather strap, but these are fantastic watches. And this is, you know, another point I'd like to make is that don't let size fool you. All right, we've gone through a phase where everybody wanted 45 and 47 millimeter watches or whatever, but look at how nicely a 36 millimeter watch fits on your wrist, right? So it's not always, you know, bigger is better. It's all about the way the watch fits. It's about the lugs. It's about how the case is engineered. So I hope you enjoyed our selection. Again, you know, we've got Primero, very iconic. We've got a Hoyer reissue, and everything in terms of the history of racing, Steve McQueen, and, you know, everything that goes behind it. You know, that fantastic little Cellini with the khanjar case back. So, you know, this is one of the ways we can think outside the box. We can see how to add to our collection and enrich our collection. So if you've got a sports collection, it would be good to start thinking of what else can I do? Do I just want, you know, sports watches and divers? Do I want to add the dress watch? Do I want to add the dress watch that's also a sports watch? So I really hope you enjoyed what we brought on the table today. See you again next week. And again, don't forget, call us, come by and visit, subscribe to YouTube, and hopefully you would have enjoyed today. Thank you.